Rana Temporaria frog. It's known as the grass frog or the European frog. It belongs to the class of amphibians, appears in the wild, and swims in the water. Its muscles are strong, in addition to the solid of pelvis bones. Its colors vary between brown and black. It has a strong sense of smell. It can catch worms and insects from a distance. It may be trapped between the ices for 9 months without dying, entering a phase called winter hibernation. It has abilities similar to a chameleon. It can lighten or darken its skin tone to hide from wild animals. It is the most famous frog, Rana Temporaria. What is its life cycle, and how does it adapt to its habitats? This is what we take you on a tour of the mountain lakes to enjoy watching it. The reproduction of frogs. In the spring, the most famous frogs of Rana Temporaria mate among the frog species. The males fill the ponds to communicate with the females during day and night. After the eggs are released during ovulation that lasts for 2 weeks and may extend to 3 weeks, mating occurs through the internal fertilization of eggs, where the male fertilizes them by releasing sperm. Then, the females are able to conceive in their eggs, so a female Rana frog convinces her eggs. The baby frogs. In a gestation period ranging from 6 weeks to 7 weeks, with the approaching of the end of the 6th week and the start of the 7th week, Rana frog lays its eggs in circular groups surrounded by plants. They look like jellyfish, gray, with black dots on top, known as rafts of 400 eggs. After passing about 30 to 40 days, its eggs hatch in the external environment, where the water is shallow. The little frog's life cycle. The first thing that appears from a young frog as soon as it is born, an almost invisible and very small tail, and a delicate mouth appears, and by the 6th day, its gills grow. The tadpole stage. The baby frog reaches a new stage in which it is called the tadpole, the period that extends from the 1st week to the 3rd week. Its appearance changes from an egg into a small larva. At the time, it was estimated to be 10 inches long. As the little frog skips its 1st week, it develops its shape over time. The first thing that noticeably changes is its tail, which helps it swim. The tadpole is developing when it is at the inception of its 2nd week, so it can feed on algae. By the 3rd week of its life, its nostrils become more visible, but it does not move and remains completely sit next to the egg that just came out of it, through which it obtains its nourishment as the yolk and absorbs it from time to time, so its body grows, and the weight of the tadpole increases. And with the last drop of the yolk, and it was completely destroyed, the tadpole's hugeness in size, as it's trying to get out of that phase stronger and bigger, and get its food from scraping the plants around it. Then, it settles in ponds rich in plants to feed on it. As for its physical features, the tadpoles appear to be tied from legs, but gradually, and after the tadpole reaches the 14th week, it turns into a frog. But at the end of the growth phase, it becomes active, and its more mature characteristics and traits emerge. Its hind and front legs grow. Its tail is visible. The ears of the little frog are also growing, while its body appears to be covered in a jelly brown color. It also has a wide head, as well as its prominent eye. The young Rana frog at the gradual maturation stage enjoys its transparent brown and black dotted tail crawling behind it, revealing its movement. In later periods, the young Rana frogs feed on meat. As the temperatures drop, the young stay in the water, not caring about the cold. The tadpole teeth. The small tadpole's teeth emerge as one of the most important characteristics, allowing it to adapt to its environment, as it uses its teeth to attract aquatic plants and cut them up. The small tadpole legs. By the 6th week of the tadpole's life, the back and front legs of the frog emerge, and with the appearance of some organs, others disappear. Especially, the tadpole tail disappears with the development of the front legs, and its skull turns to become more solid and consists of bones after it was containing of the cartilage that made it flexible. It eats food until it becomes fatter and thicker. Its organs appear swollen, and it becomes able to exercise its life as mature frogs, and appears a sign that makes a difference in its life, which is the tail. The more its tail disappears, the closer it gets to maturity, the absence of the sun of the tadpole stage and the approaching stage of the young frog. Its teeth disappear and feed on insects and the remains of dead organisms. By the 7th week, Gradually, the head of the frog emerges clearly in the 8th week of the tadpole's life cycle, and as the 9th week of the tadpole's life approaches, the end of that stage comes. Then, its body looks short and more solid. In addition to the protrusion of its head that appears wider, the area around the ear becomes yellowish in color for females, while blue spots are scattered on the male Rana frog body, despite the brown color that covers its entire body. The tadpole is seen taking care of itself from that stage to the next stage of its life cycle, which is known as the froglet stage. The tadpole intestine. The small tadpoles have a small intestine that is shorter than that of a human, with an estimated length of 30 centimeters. It also has a large intestine that absorbs food. Especially, its role appears in storing undigested food. The more the frog matures, the different its role and the older it becomes. This is due to the increase in its ability to digest, which varies during the young tadpole stage and its growth compared to the maturity stage. The capacity of the intestine is limited in the digestion of the spleen in plants, but once the young Rana Temporaria frogs reach adulthood, the greatest burden falls on the stomach, where the process of digesting meat. The diet of a small frog differs as it is fully grown and has already matured. The puberty features of young Rana Temporaria frog. Its length is about 6 to 10 centimeters, and the small Rana frog weighs about 22 grams, while the weight of females is more than males, and there were dark streaks around its eyes as well as its ears. However, their voices are usually too low that can't be heard from 50 meters away. The gradual maturation stage, the little frog. After it is gradually at the inception of maturity, it is called a young frog, while this stage is known as the froglet. Especially, it is the stage in which the stage of transformation ends and its lungs appear, which helps it to catch its breath easily. And after passing its 5th week, an additional area called the stub appears on its tail, while its features continue to be complete. By the 12th week of life, the little frog becomes a miniature version of the mother. It is distinguished by its ability to get out of the water to live on the ground, jump high if it feels threatened, and move from one area to another flexibly depending on the legs that are growing and emerging. And then, the young may feed on dead plants and perhaps tiny insects, and can swim with high skill. After the maturity features are completed, both young male and female Rana Temporaria frogs mature. The puberty and reproduction of young Rana Temporaria frog. Females mature at the inception of their 4th year, while a young male Rana frog takes less time to mature by its 2nd year. The mating season of frogs comes in the spring, and the male and female frogs release cries, which are known as croaks, to ensure communication. So it adapts to its environment and becomes better able to feed using its fully matured senses. The frog tongue. The small frog feeds on what it catches with its long, smooth tongue, which in turn makes it able to catch its prey with its morphological features, as the frog's tongue is located in the front of the mouth. As soon as the adult Rana Temporaria frog wants to hunt its prey, it sticks out its entire tongue to catch the flying insects very quickly, and catches its mouth on them as if nothing had happened. Scientists believe that this movement does not take seconds, while the frog's tongue catches the prey at a very high speed because of its unique length, which is reflected in its speed at a rate of 4 meters per second. Frogs also catch insects because of the high viscosity that appears above their tongue. The frog diet. These traits help the frog in obtaining its diet, as it pounces on prey easily after experiencing a change in its nutrition nature, as it turned into a carnivore to feed on snails and insects. Scientists have realized the strength of the Rana Temporaria frog smell sense, which makes them get their diet from worms easily by recognizing their smell from a distance. And it is not just about eating insects, but the small frogs eat algae as well as larvae and woodlice, and it is not only the ability of the frog of Rana to diversify its diet change, but it also extends to its swimming abilities. The frog swimming. The frog's ability to swim develops, so they kick the water backward, and the hind legs alternate to push the water, while this stage is known as swimming in stages. The anatomical structure helps it in adapting to its amphibious environment, and its features make it breathe flexibly where the gills, in addition to its exposed feet known as the webbed feet. Wild frogs live in the water with their feet sticking out of them, as if they are webbed feet, and their functions differ from one frog to another. The frog speed. The speed of the small Rana frog is highlighted, as it can reach a rate of 50 miles per hour in aquatic environments, while its average speed on land is about 10 miles per hour. The Rana Temporaria frog habitats. The Rana frog lives in Britain, as well as its multiple habitats in Europe. It is also abundant in Northwest Asia, where it is found between forests and mountains. where land areas, ponds, rivers, lakes, and streams are in water areas. It inhabits coniferous forests, in addition to its multiple habitats in swamps and mountainous and deciduous lands, especially in dry areas. However, like all other frogs, it prefers to spend a longer period in ponds and lakes, specifically in areas of muddy ponds. The presence of a small frog may grow between rotten leaves and stones, or even a small Rana frog may appear in the piles. It is active at night to get its diet in the warm seasons, while it may not visible in the environment during the winter season. The social behavior of the frog. The little frog adapts after puberty, so its skin becomes softer, and there are additional features of this frog type as it can change its color according to its surroundings as one of the distinguishing characteristics, which is known as camouflage. The European frog lifespan. The larger is the European frog, the more its characteristics change, as it loses its tail completely, as well as its diet, which evolves to become a rodent eater by the end of its life in the wild, which is estimated at 14 years. Is the common Rana frog endangered? It faces threats in its habitats, as the locals eliminate it, and it may face a bleak fate with an abundance using of pesticides in its habitats, and its pond may freeze in the winter and become a homeless frog. But it does not face the threats of extinction. The Rana frog lives in its cold climate environment where lakes and high mountains hide in the daytime in wet areas. As it absorbs moisture from its soft skin, adapts to its icy environment, enjoys its great abilities to catch its prey with its tongue, and jumps high from one pond to another.